Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the part 2 on the BMW 535 X-Drive with the intermediate shaft and camshaft and the Valvetronic issue. One thing that I want to show first before I start, putting it, everything back together is that the cap on I have the brand new, this is the brand new intake camshaft, just, sitting in there. I just put one of the caps by hand. The number 5 cap has a little bit of scoring on it, which I tried to polish. I talked to the customer and I told him that, the only real solution as far as BMW offers, it will be to replace the whole cylinder head, which is absurd, which is super expensive, and they should sell this and being able to, sit it on place, and even if you have to take it over to a machine shop or refinish it or whatever. But this is not right. But well, I guess that's the way it is. So what I did is I polished it a little bit with like a 1500 sandpaper on the old camshaft, which is very tight because I mean the clearance in here is super small. Just to try to remove the big scoring. I'm not sure if the camera is going to be able to catch that, but I think you guys are being able to see those three lines. It's just very minimum. So since I did that, I need now to know if now the cap is sitting correctly or if it's too loose. And the only way to do that, I'm going to use this clearance range plastic gauge. For those who doesn't know what this is, it's just a strip. Let me open up a little bit so you guys can see. Probably the old timers like me that have done engines and so on, they know what this is, but the new generation probably hadn't even used this. So again, it's just a plastic hair that will be installed. Let me show you how this is being. So what you do in this case, I'm going to set up a piece here. You just cut it with your nails. Oops. And then you just set it on the cap, and then when you press it down and torque, I just drop it. Well, that's the way you do it. And when you torque, it's going to press it down, and then you measure with the gauge, which it has its own, um, I don't know, like readings to tell you if it is pressing too much or no. What I'm going to do to find out if that is correct or no is compared to the first two, three caps, which are like brand new, never nothing happened to it, and see if it's at least an equal amount of pressure. If it's too much out of range, the other thing that I can do is set this into a glass surface with the same kind of sandpaper and try to remove some of the material from the flat right here to make the cap reach a little closer. But let's see. All right, so I'm going to just do that and I get you guys back into the readings. All right, I put four of the caps. I put a plastic gauge on the first one. And then the third one and four are just tied to torque specifications to keep the camshaft straight. And I also put, the one that I'm really concerned about is the cap in the position number 5. So let me take that one out and show you now that it's very minimum torque in here. It's 8.5 Newton meters. That's what the specs call for. These are T30 bolts. Very bad position for your back working on this. You have to like completely lean on top of the engine. But I mean, it is what it is, right? Especially when you're over 40, you feel that at the end of the day, right? So what you gotta do is try to take the cap carefully and see the. Hopefully you guys can see that too. So we have a little bit of a push in there. Now let me remove the first one. Again, this is Mark. The cap has a 5 on it. You guys can see that too. So that's number 5. And I'm going to remove the first one, which is our known good. And we will see even with the gauge, kind of like readings in there, or not even how know how to call that, like a tester or meter. So this is the only way that you really can see how much is being pushed down. So again, you try to remove that. It looks pretty even too as well. So doing this with these, it looks like we got 0.051 thousandths. That's the closest one. 'Cause yeah, this is, let me see that. Let me get a light here, guys. Hopefully this is not too boring. I think that, when people try to do things like this and doesn't know, okay, how I will check for pressure. Is this all being the same or not? Okay, this is how you do it. And obviously you're gonna have clearances, minimum and maximum values that you can play with. It's not that all of them has to be the same. All right, I got a better light. I'm sorry, I kicked the camera. So the known good, yeah, the known good is gonna be 0.051 mm, which is thousandths of an inch, I guess, or no, thousands. And then this one, you can rip a piece of a paper if you want, so you don't have to play with the whole thing. And the best thing is to have a band like this so you can see better. Yeah, this one definitely, it has less tension. Yeah, if we want to go into thousandths of an inch, which is right here, the known good is in 0.002 thousandths of an inch, and this one is in 0.003 thousandths of an inch. So that's perfect. That is not a problem. We're talking about like a hair of difference. I'm happy with that. So this is going to be an assemble position now, which what I'm going to use for assembling. I have to clean that little plastic gauge from there. I'm going to be using the Ultra Slick. This is good because I want to make sure that everything is lubricated before this engine tries to turn. Trying to avoid that because this is what usually happens when is a lot of lack of lubrication or um, the first start, you know. All right, so let me stop the video and let's just start with the assembling. All right, guys, I've removed the intake camshaft from the head because I was just to test the clearance. And I wanted to show you now how the new intermediate eccentric shaft looks and how the needle bearings and those caps are made and installed for. Again, you need to have everything very clean. They come in a seal package and it has a needle bearing, which just be careful when you open it, just open it and off so you can fit it in the eccentric shaft and then just roll it around. One of those half caps or bearings will be on the cap. I don't know why they don't do this onto the intake camshaft, and it's just this one. And then I'm just going to solder this on the engine. Again, I'm going to use all this purple Ultra Tech to lubricate all this. This is what I'm going to do. But this is very important. I don't care about this foam no more. It's been good for the purpose that I needed to, which is hold all the pieces in position and then for installation. So all you got to do is now roll and make sure you clean your hands. I usually use the greaser and then a clean towel to clean my hands, and that's it. All right, so let me keep going. I'm just installing the caps. I already had the eccentric shaft in place. I put it just a drop of that in there. And as you remember, this kind of seal, sorry, this kind of seal is the one that goes down, and each cap has a letter. And like I said, I put a drop of that lubricant in here, which is specific for assembling. And this is cap 3. Yep. Just gotta be careful here not to drive the bolts. I mean, remember we have no injectors, the holes are open. These bolts will not fit in that to go all the way to the cylinder, but it's better be careful. You know how things are, it might get jammed. I'm just going to snug this with a ratchet, not tight, just a snug. Yep. And then of course I'm going to use the torque, the torque wrench to do that. Now I gotta put the fifth one, but because the four is already installed. Let's put the balls by hand. Take your time when you're doing this. Make sure you work clean, which is very, very important on all these repairs. Clean your tools, clean your hands, parts, very, very throughout. Super important because that's where the scratches on the first start happens. And now we're gonna position the six, number six cap. All right. I want to show you also the information that I use again. This is from Identifix. I like to bookmark all my information so when I have to come back, I just don't have to look everywhere to find the information. So this is pretty much what we've been doing, putting all these bearings on the position that they go. They actually even recommend to put the oil as I did on the cabs and all this, as you can see. Let me see. Code all bearings, positions with engine oil. I'm using that special lubricant. And then tighten torque is 1131 2AZ. And the 2AC is 8.5 8.5 Newton meters as well. Thus, I think I'm very happy with the sensation that I got at the beginning. That I said they feel like with the same torque. I like to usually do that, so I was right. Okay, so I'm just going to show you on one. Let me turn the torque wrench on. It's already set up. So I was using it for the testing on the, and usually what I do, I mean, these are, just go slow, and that's it. So quick that I'm just going to do it on the camera with you guys. As you can see, it's very minimum torque. All right, so that's it. All right, change the position of the camera. I have one of the intermediate levers installed. Again, very important to lubricate everything. So this is just going to be sitting. Make sure that your bottom rollers are sitting correctly. Always very important. The way this seats is this portion of the intermediate lever is going to seat down in there. And we have this kind of hook, which is going to hold on to the spring that we're going to put later on. So obviously that will be the position of this. I'm just quick show you this. So what I'm going to do is also lubricate these, also all these rollers, this red, purple. Make sure that you don't apply nothing where the gauge is going because that has to be 100% clean for at least for installation because you gotta preload the gates. I will show you in a second how that's done, and you need a special tool. Obviously, that's the way BMWs are. They make you spend the money on tools and parts. My God. All right, so let me stop the video, guys. All right, now I have all of them installed. Am I recording? Yes. And very, I put lubrication into also. What I like to do is just move the eccentric shaft carefully. I mean, it's nothing you can really damage in here. I just want to make the rollers spin and the shaft so the lubrication goes in as I want and it lubricates 100% everything. You don't need to do this. This is just personal preference, but I like to show it. All right, guys, I have all the gates installed. There go to, let me check the specs again. I think it's 10 Newton meters. I'm not gonna be showing that because yeah, it's 10 Newton meters. Just trust my word. And that weird tool that you see in there is specifically to tie all the gates. You need to have that in order to preload them. And that's the way it is. It says secure special tool, which is that one, on a screw connection of the eccentric shaft and set adjusting screw on a special tool if necessary. Turn eccentric lever on a special tool, blah, 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 in direction of the aggregate is now preloaded. Insert screws one of gates and tighten to 10 Newton meters. So we need to do this on all of them. So let me put this onto 10 Newton meters and we are. Hopefully I can feed that tool with what I did with the, sorry guys, I don't know where to put it. Right here. Yep. Yeah, it's very small, so should be no problem. That is E8. So let me show what I did. This is the preload that they call is just this. So you set them up into the upper bolt of the eccentric shaft, and then if it's too loose, you just adjust it so it feels snug, and then you can move the lever. All you got to be able is to do that, and that's all you need to do. I know it's very stupid, but it's important, and that tool is $200. So for that little thing that you need to do, but the gate is preloaded like that. All right, that one is tied. And what they tell you to do is put all the gates, secure the bolts by hand, and then come back 1/4 of a turn so they will slide when you're putting this. So all you gotta do is just move this, release the screw so you can move it back to the next one. Put them in here. You'll see that you need to adjust it when it's too loose. Just want to make sure that you're tied in and you can tie the lever. That's it. And again, just take your time torquing the bolts because they're very small. especially when they use such a small torque spec. You gotta go slow because you can make it go to 15 Newton meters in a second. All right, guys, I'm going to do that in the rest. One thing I wanted to say, they obviously know that you're going to have the center gate. It only has one bolt because the other one is actually the lubrication for the eccentric shaft. So eccentric, sorry, not the eccentric shaft, the Valvetronic motor. All right. All right, guys. I know that I'm cutting a lot, but I don't want to make the video super long. The other one was over an hour. I mean, this is a big job. So okay, now we're installing the eccentric. Sorry, the Valvetronic motor, and I also put the camshaft in place. When you put the camshaft, which you still can spin and everything because there's no tension, it's still without the springs. Just make sure that the levers are freely. I remove also the lower limited stop on the eccentric shaft to be able to set the Valvetronic motor in place, which is, I mean, you can do it before you install the Valvetronic. I mean the the gates. These are called the gates. I like to do it after. So I just want to show you that it's very simple. Again, with a 13 millimeter wrench, you can just move the shaft in here. Just do it slow. It's not too much tension because we have not yet put the springs, and you can still move the camshaft. As you can see, I can move it by hand. Also, it's very important when you move that Valvetronic motor to do with a Allen wrench. It's a 4 millimeter, I think. Let me see what I did with that. So all you got to do is feed the wrench in here, and like right now it hasn't even cut yet. But if you need to come this way, just make sure that you do it with, with a wrench like that, and then you can move the camshaft to position to put them on time. Again, make sure that all the levers, specifically the one on the back, are set in place because they still can move without the springs. So now we can put this is stop. That's how it looks. I'm not sure if I show it on the first part or not. No, you got to do. We need more room, so we will move this to a position that we can screw this on. It's an 11 millimeter wrench, and then put them in place. I would even recommend. I haven't torqued the camshaft in place yet. Then you just set it into place in here. Make sure that you put lubrication. There is a special grease that BMW recommends for this. It's like a long-term grease. I have something from Honda that I'm going to use in there, and all that red purple, which is very sticky, is specific for that. No matter what, as soon as the engine starts, that will go away. It's full of oil. Let me show you the old one. I mean, what I did with it. Well, let me show you. Yeah, right here. So this is the old the old stuff. As you can see, there is nothing on the linkage or in the gears. I mean, this is just for the start. Don't let anyone fool you that you need to um, buy that grease because otherwise it will get damaged. It's not. All right, guys, so let me start the video and I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm about to install the springs. This is a procedure that you have to be careful. I kind of like put the tool for the timing to make sure that the camshaft is close at least to where the timing goes because you can move it. It has a wrench and a position for a wrench in here that you can adjust it to feed the tool later on. So I just set up the tool in here. Tighten this ball so we can secure the spring in place. That's tight. And then you're going to just lock the tool, which is just like that. And this is where you have to be careful. Make sure the intermediate rollers or so there will be hole by it, the spring. Like in this case, It feels weird. Remember, be careful. Just don't feel like I'm in the right spot. The bolt in here goes into 10 Newton meters. Let me take the tension again out. And there's nothing else I can do. Oh, too much. I guess where you have to be strong or secure is that when you put this bolt, it fits the spring onto the right position. This one goes into 10 Newton meters at the torque spec. So I'm going to put one and then do the other ones by myself. All right, so that's tight to spec. We put the torque wrench on the side. And this is where we have to be careful that the spring, I mean, you can always come back. The spring is, it will hold the two levers or the two intermediate rollers. Yeah, this one is fine and this one is fine. So that's it. All you got to do then is you can now lose the screw on the center and remove the tool. As simple as that. Again, just try to always to make sure that the spring is holding here and on the bottom. Not sure if you guys going to be able to see that or not. And the bottom roller, which sits on the lifter and on the valve, is on the right spot. So this one is good, and I'm going to do the rest the same thing. Make sure that when you're doing this, the eccentric shaft is onto the minimum position, which is flat in here and sitting on here. All right, now I'm going to set up the banos in place. Remember, AUS is the exhaust side, and EUS, I think, no, EIN is the intake. So what I'm going to do is, I think I remember I put the remove the intake first, but we'll see. Let's see how this one goes. I don't have any tensioner in there, so this should be no problem to fit them in place. That one is inside there, close to the mark that I put before. That's the one. I like to do my own marks, which not necessary. Again, personal preferences. And let's get the bolt in place in here. These, as far as information goes, this is what I'm talking about. They have no position. You can set up either one in either side. The tool that we're going to set up after, it will be the one that's going to set up the timing for, I guess, this. This is the only time that you really want to set because we already have, I'm sorry, I've already put the tool here. You just got to wiggle a little bit the intake camshaft um, to get the tool in place, but it's pretty simple. Again, just tie this by hand because you're gonna need to move the ring to set up the tool. So let's put the intake one. I don't like to wash this with gas or anything. Just like to keep it in there because they got oil inside, so you want to keep them lubricated as much as possible. So let's try to fit this one here. I'm doing it in backwards, so might not fit. We'll see. Yeah, I did. So, and this one I mark it at 12 o'clock. So I need to do is kind of like move it around. So let's get it out and try to do it as we fit it. Yep, that's our mark in there. So I have a mark on the chain, a mark in here. I did a mark on the chain and mark in here. I'm just trying to locate it as close as possible as it was. And let's put this here too. I don't like these red racks too much. They lose a lot of fabric. So you just put this by hand. You're gonna be able to move it. Now we need another tool that doesn't come in that set that I got from Asha Marker, but I have another one here if I find it quickly. I know it's one of these ones, not this one. I'm off camera. Okay, I found it. This is another tool that I have for Mini Cooper. And in this one, all we're going to need it for is for this tool, which, as far as I read online, is the same one. I should have checked that before, but I mean, I didn't, so we'll find out in a second. I need to fit this in here. If I find where the right hole is, right there. Yeah, it is getting tight, so perfect. And you just gotta pre-tension the chain to 6 Newton meters. I guess we can take that rack out of there, which was just to collect the oil. And it's just on my way. All right, so we will tie the center as close as possible. I can see it's moving, and now we will move the outer one to tie it up to 6 Newton meters, which I mean, that's like a snug with your hand. I know you guys are not looking too much on that. I'm sorry for that. Think that I shouldn't tie that up. Let me see, position the tool and then tie it up. Installation, replace both central balls, screw in both central ball, release both central balls 90 degrees. Use balls to fasten a special tool, pre-tension timing chain. So, yeah, let's take the tension off. Now it's loose. Yep. So we can move a little freely. All right. Now let's get the other tool that we need here. And this is the other tool, and it's marked as you see for N55. So all you do is set up these two plates in place, and we need the bolts to secure that as well with those 13 millimeter nuts that I got because the bolts are too long. Not a problem. They're just the spacers. I know this is going to make it a little longer, but I think this is what everybody has not shown in any videos is the procedure of setting up the bolts, setting up this timing. That is a 10 millimeter. Just gonna tie that by hand. Nothing too crazy here. All right, so and this is where you're supposed to just move around. Make sure the chain is also through the guides, because that's one thing that they warn you is to check that. Trying to make this as fine as possible so I can see all the way down that the chain is all the way in the guides, and it is, so everything looks pretty good. Now we can pretension that a tensioner. Well, it says before we do that, okay, we put the tool. It says replace both central bolts, screwing both central bolts, release both central bolts by 90 degrees. Okay, so it doesn't say nothing to tie them up. The screw special tool, that's the one we just installed. And use I'm sorry guys, I'm just reading. All right, the tightening torque for that. I gotta go back down all the way to here. So is 1136 1AC. 1136 1AC. It says that it's 20 Newton meters plus 180 degrees. Oh wow, that is a lot of degrees for those balls. But well, that's what they said. It's gotta go. So let me find the right socket for that. Got so many mosquitoes in here. I think it was 16, 16 or 15. Let me see. No, it is 16. All right, let me set up the torque to 20 Newton meters. Now we can pretension the tensioner tool that we have here. It says 6 Newton meters, so you can pretty much just get it very snug with your hand. That's all you're looking for, to remove the slack from the chain. And then we're gonna put 20 Newton meters on the ball first. All right, we got 20 in that one, 20 in this one. And now we're gonna move from pressure to degrees. If I remember how to do it. I think it's in here, yeah. All right, so it's zeroing. Now let's put 180. And that's what is nice about this one, because I will remember when you start, as soon as you put pressure. So you got 48, 87, sorry. 147. See a little more. 160. 180 degrees. All right. I always hate to put that much of a degrees on anything. It's so too much turn. All right, so we should have like around 90 degrees in there. 113. Just go slowly. And we have 180 degrees. All right, you gotta go slow so you don't break the ball. You try to go too fast. It's too quick for the ball to actually take the stress. So go slow and then everything is fine. All right, guys, let me remove the fixture and keep going with injectors and assembly. One thing I also want to show, because you haven't seen this, is that's a timing tool. You see this chain I have here? that's the timing tool that I have up there. So I'm like, this is the transmission, that's the engine, and this is the left side of the car. So I'm under the driver feet, kind of, and that's where that pin will go. So again, you have to leave it in there until all the procedure is done, and I'm about to release it. Okay, so it's out. So this is how that pin looks, and now I'm going to spin the engine and recheck the timing after I spin it 4 times. All right, guys, as a tip, before I spin the engine and take the engine off timing, I just remove that pin that you saw. And one thing you can do is under the transmission and the engine, remove this cover, make I use a corrector, or hopefully you guys can see that with a shadow. I put a white mark in there and a white mark on that tooth on the flywheel. So I know when I'm spinning, when I'm getting close to put that engine again on timing. So I don't have to like guess because it's a very tight fit on that pin. So that's just to make it easier. All right, now I spin the engine 4 times and I put the pin back into the hole. And I'm checking it right now here. Obviously, the chain is not going to have the marks that I have done before because I mean they're not for that. But I can see that my mark on the binos on the intake is perfectly aligned in here, and so is this one. Remember, I couldn't mark in here because we had this guide that is on the way, but I made a mark in here and in here, and it's perfectly lined. So I know as a fact the timing is perfect. Still, we have to follow the procedure. So let's set all the timing tools again. Um, Sometimes it's a little hard to uh, put this like this together. I was able to do it before because I was able to play with the actual camshaft. Now I can because the engine is on time, so we need to lose up lose up the upper bolts. At least these ones don't lose them completely. Just lose. I mean, don't remove them. That's what I'm trying to say. As you can see, just by doing that, the tool is going in. Yes, check it around, make sure they're loose completely, and then that's it. Now we can tie them up. This is the first instance that I know that the engine is very good in time. We're just feeling this tool. I already put the tensioner. Obviously, I forgot to say that just before you remove anything else, to check the timing, don't leave the tool in there. You have to put the tensioner. You only use that tool in order to check the timing. Like, let's say if you need to adjust the timing, then you need to remove the tensioner, put a special tool in there, and the whole thing, right? So let's start this up. I know a lot of people say that I record long videos. Well, I do, but I mean, is there any other way that you can learn how to time an engine like this if it's not like looking complete? No. So that's what I do. All right, this tool on the front, I'm not even going to secure it. I'm just going to sit it in there to make sure the two pins are in place. And as you can see, perfect. So that is 100% perfect. You see the line is just as it should. So the engine is perfectly in time. All right, guys, I'm going to remove the tool, remove the pin on the bottom, and keep with the assembly. All right, now I'm going to position this like intermediate housing on the spark plugs and hold the injectors in place. My light is about to die. So these are T30s too. They go to 9 Newton meters as well, or 8.5. All right, so we got 1, 2. Therefore, I'm going to show you just the one, and then I'll do the rest. Obviously, if I can get the bead in there. I don't know why I choose the rear one. So that one is tight. Now we can set the injectors in place, which I have. Again, as you saw, will see on the part one, I have everything nice and fixed into the bench and positions and numbers. You gotta be careful with that. Like always, to apply a little bit of a WD-40 on the injector. So this is injector number 6. Hopefully you guys can see that. This should feed very easy, especially since everything is very clean. So let me get number 5 now. Oops, forgot to put a little bit of WD-40. That's all I'm doing is, again, guys, just applying a little bit of WD-40 on the front. And all you do is set up the injector in place. Just shake it around. Installing is pretty simple. And then we need to put this bracket into place, which is the one that holds injectors on line up. And that is a little bit of a tricky situation. I think I went too far to install both. Yeah, but that's not a problem. You see how easy that one came out? Because you need to play with this bracket in there. I know you guys cannot see too much. Because that is the position on. I cannot put it on the back one. Maybe needed to pull both. Come on. That is Chris installing tires. Just going to pry a little bit with this Allen wrench. This one is a little tight. Yes, as you saw, that's very simple. So I can set up that bracket and both of the injectors. Make sure I'm doing it right. Okay. Seems like now I am in place. Yep. All right. Are you okay? I think I just set it on. Okay, let's check it out again. Yeah, I was doing it backwards. Sorry, guys. All right, that makes more sense. So this is all it does is just push the injectors down, and the bolt that goes in there is this one. Oop, I already have one in here. Let me get that socket for this. That is a E10. That goes to 20 Newton meters. I need this in here. And 20. All right, as you can see, that's Again, very snug and very simple. So the next piece that goes in there is a cover. This also will tell you if, like this one, injector is not in the perfect position. You can use this like a 15 wrench, just move it around. Let's see if I can do that. Probably 13. Otherwise, you just gotta lose the center bolt and reposition the injector, but probably, yeah, I move. Oops. This is not complicated, it's very simple. And that's all you need. Make sure that, the plug and injector is in place. Then you need to set up a bracket that goes on top too to secure the injectors in place. You guys are there, right? Yeah, that's the bracket. And this just goes right here. And looks like I'm gonna have to shake that a little. Yeah. This tool, you can use it to position the injector. As you saw, the first one was not in place. And now let's try to see if I can move the other one. And it's just a little off. Yep, that's it. It's pretty easy. All right, guys, let me keep going. I don't want to take too much of the time on the video for normal assembling. All right, guys, now is the time for the timing for the back cover, sorry, which is new as well too. So what I have to see is it has all the gaskets and everything, and it does. So I don't know if I showed before that I needed to remove the fuel rail, not just the lines, which in the first part I actually tried to work around my way not to remove that pipe, and actually that was not a good idea. You remove that, you have more room to remove the back cover, to work on position the spring tool, so just do it that way. Be careful when you're installing this with the Valvetronic shaft, I mean, sorry, motor. It's a little bit of a tight fit on there, and with the gaskets on the back, because it is a very tight fit, as usual with BMW stuff, kind of like all European vehicles. So just take your time and make sure it's going the right way. You ain't bending nothing, or you know, getting onto the O2 wiring, which goes on the back. Nothing is on the way. Looks like it went perfect. I'm pretty sure those are E10 too. Let me get that up. Going to first install it with just the regular ratchet and then torque. I don't think that's in position yet. She should. Let me tie one of these ones. Yeah, the one is going good. Oh, this one. Not sure if I have the right socket. Maybe it's 8/8. Should have that one. Where I have that one? Yeah, no, these are not 8/8. It just feels weird. At least in this one here, it is. It is the like the bolt. Let me see that. And for some reason, it's not like grabbing perfectly. Let me try to use one of the white ones. That is a torque. I have some of those in here too. E10. Those are E10, right? Yeah, that's what I said. See, because this is going to have a more room, so let me use this white one no matter what. We don't need that much of a, oops, strength on the socket. Yeah, yeah, definitely. That was the issue 100%. You want to work around, make sure you snug them all. And remember, this is a plastic bar cover, so what you want to do is kind of like a spray, spread the load, so it's tight and evenly. Usually go on the corners as well. I know this microphone is huge, but believe me, it's the only thing that works with the noise on the shop. I'm very happy with it. No snub bolt in there. No one in the back are very hard to work around. And then I have to put a universal in order to get to the ones on the back. But I guess you guys get the point. Let me keep going. All right, guys, getting closer and closer to to start the engine. One thing that I want to show, because this is where you can put it and then you will have trouble to put this insulator, because this is to stop the noise from and interference from the fuel lines and so on, right? So I already move the wiring harness over this way, connect all the coils, the injectors, and each ground. I don't know if I mentioned this, but you need to have the battery disconnected for all this process. So I lift the lift gate and then lock the latch so it doesn't close, because otherwise you will not be able to open it up. And well, again, coming back to this, you have to make sure that these grounds are nice and tight, because otherwise you will burn the computer. Again, this bracket it just secures in a pin in here that you just pushed in. Then you set these down. Just make sure that all the wiring harness is on place, and then you can put the two T25s, hold this plastic on the back. I'll move this a little bit. A little tight to work with all this crap in here, but well, that's the way they do it. Yeah, that insulation is broken a little bit. And just the way it was, so. All right, got one bolt in place. Nope, I thought I had it. This time it is. For that. For the one on the back, it uses two. I put a swivel or universal. You just got a plate in between the wire and that's just plastic, so don't go gorilla on it. Well, it's looking better than better. All right, I'm going to stop it. And now my next step will be to install the, I still got to put the other bolt that goes on the back. I just want to show what my next step will be, which is this hose that goes right here. You have to put it on the front. It's just so much crap. One thing that I found on the other back cover, because this back cover is new, is this rubber. And don't install it on the back cover. Put it on the hose. Make sure that you fit it on the groove. But you see my point. So let me keep going, guys. I just lost one of the guides in there. Okay, guys. Pretty much is done. Just gotta put the last cover. I still gotta do some other works on the car. Gotta replace the um, lower control arms and some other things. Why is this? Oh, I see. I'm missing the. I have still gotta move those from the other back cover. Yeah, those are the balls that have like the nipple to hold this in place. Looks like 14. I thought they should come with a back cover. Come on. But I guess they save cents in here and on massive productions as millions at a year, right? Again, don't go gorilla on it. That is just holding the cover, which is just for look, not a function. All right. And now it sits tight. Okay, now I have to connect the scanner, connect the battery, connect the scanner, and do the valve limit relearn. And hopefully it will start